Okay, so we're back live. So the House Transportation Committee continuing our work today, Wednesday, January 17th. So I just thought it would be important at this moment to just have a little bit of time for the committee to have some committee discussion. We just heard, this over the last 2 weeks, we've been hearing reports that have been coming into our committee. And I just wanted to make a note, there were some technical glitches, but now which have been resolved. They're all up on our committee page and you can see them. We also get it in the form of, when we have testimony coming in, we get those presentations, but just want to make sure that if you're looking for some reports, those are on our committee page under reports. And we've been, kind of methodically going through and covering all of the reports. We still have a few more to go. We'll be getting some reports this afternoon. So that was just a public service announcement. Because some of you have mentioned that things were there and they're not there, but that problem, thanks to Jeannie, our committee assistant, has been fixed. I thought that it would be great to do two things. One is to talk about our work this session, and one of the thoughts about committee members potentially serving as liaisons to other committees. And then the second thing is about, bills that we just heard about from Anthea and getting a pulse or sense of the committee about what we might want to work on. So I think maybe I'll do the liaisons, the idea of liaisons. A few of you, like, for example, Tim is our liaison to appropriations. So you notice, like, when the BAA was here, he went down for the BAA and he stays in touch with the member of that committee, Representative Brennan, who holds the transportation section budget. So he follows, as part of that, follows the approach agenda and, when things are happening in here to let him know. Butch is the liaison to Ways and Means and does similar things. He tracks that into that data. This session, since a lot of our work is going to be dealing with resiliency and the transportation budget, and we'll be hearing today about, the braided service model with public transportation. So much of our work is becoming increasingly intersectional, and I think will be helpful for the committee to be working a little bit more. And I'm asking the committee members, it would be helping with your chair to do this to make sure that we have, for example, tracking some of the agenda that's going on in environment and energy. The Human Services Committee and the Healthcare Committee. So, and some of it is just checking at the beginning of the week, midweek, to see what's going on. I try to do my best to connect with the chairs of the other committees, but there's a lot happening in the course of a day, in the course of a week. So I was hoping that we could make some assignments if people are willing to do that. Sure. And I want to hear what you're interested in. And in some cases, we might have more than one person, that it could be shared. I know I've asked, based on Leonora, since it's just us, I'm going to use first names. I hope that's okay with everybody. So Leonora was interested in some of the public transit, the braided service model. I've asked her to liaise with the Human Services Committee. I think we could also use another person to liaise on that topic with the Healthcare Committee. So I'm wondering if there's another person here who'd be interested in that, because that has to do with Medicaid, and that would be kind of the nexus to our work, how Medicaid reimbursements work. So is there anybody on the committee who would be interested? I was gonna see if, or you could do both, but I think there could be a good amount to go around.
Can I volunteer somebody? Well, I was wondering if you wanted to kind of coordinate on that, because we share an intern, and so the intern could be taking, could be going to.
Sure. So you'll do liaise with Human Services, and I would liaise with Healthcare.
Okay. Yeah, on graded services.
Yeah. And just so you know, already the member from the Human Services Committee who's coming in is Ray Garofano.
Yeah.
And the person from Human Services, from Healthcare is, Melanie Carpenter. So
Okay.
that's that's, we're trying to keep the,
So, but just not that one topic too, you should check the agenda on a pretty regular basis to see if there's anything that interlinks us with healthcare or with human services.
So there is also going to be a public health caucus that's starting up, and I'm actually on the steering committee. for
oh,
that.
great.
So that will be another, and it is created in part to facilitate dot connecting.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
so,
great.
so there, this ties in.
That ties in nicely.
Nicely, yeah.
Great. So if there's a lot that would be great. I'm gonna make my little list, but we have the other area is like around, oh, sorry.
I was just gonna sort of comment on that, and that's a really complicated topic on how those funds from Medicare and all that, flow through.
Medicaid.
Yeah, Medicaid, right,
Yeah.
how that flows through that, so I think two people would.
Will be great.
Yeah,
And just so you know, like we will get some of that. Medicaid reimbursements are not our expertise in this committee. So that's why we are bringing in those folks and that would be great. So, and there's, that's
a
exactly.
mix of services that work with that.
Yeah.
It's not like one organization.
Yeah.
Oh, and Phil is on the GMT board.
Yeah, so I was sort of listening to that, and, I'd be willing to work on that, or maybe the three of us could talk.
Sure, yeah, this is,
Yeah.
terra incognita for me, so.
Okay. Great. Well, there can be some nice, so then the other area where I'm seeing that we have a lot of overlap this session is with the Energy and Environment Committee. And there are certain things, I want to be clear, and they're almost two separate. In the past, those have been two different committees. So because of vehicle electrification, we have an interest in the energy part, but that is not our jurisdiction, right? But we need to interface on that. And then there's obviously the environment, climate, resiliency, and there's a lot of A&R related things. So I think those two, we would need, I think, at least two people to kind of do that. Molly, do you want to be one of them?
Yeah, I think two people would be great.
And I think that I'm just writing some of this down. And do you want to do like more of the environment of the E&E? I'm writing E&E not to break it artificially apart, but maybe on that side.
That would be more my,
Okay.
more topic that
Yeah.
as opposed to the energy part of it.
Okay. And then,
I'd be interested in that.
okay.
Yeah, I was thinking you would be an actual.
Energy. Okay. So, yeah, we could have, go ahead. I'd like to see, if Matt, I want to know what you're interested in, because I don't want to close off
Yeah.
things like, I want to make
There's
sure.
something else that somebody really wants that, I can do something.
But also, it might not be a bad thing to have three people on that. Matt, to put you in the hot seat, can I ask you to be part of that, or what would?
Happy to help in any way.
Okay. I think that there are a lot of moving parts there, and I think more eyes rather than few could be helpful. All right, so I'm just gonna say, and maybe what I'll do is I could leave it to the three of you to kind of coordinate and divide up the work and everything, and I'll be in touch with the chair as well, and I'll find out from her tonight who might be, if she has somebody from her committee, so that you can, the idea is that you kind of touch base with members of the committee rather than the chair, just because, and we'll identify those liaisons. Yeah.
I was also gonna say that I have Evelyn as an intern, and Evelyn has already listened in on some energy, what is the name of that committee now? Energy Environment Committee.
already and can takes wonderful notes. So,
That's great.
so for things that like maybe testimony that we might want to go to that we can't miss because we have to be here, we can do that.
That's great. That's great. And why don't you like, maybe kind of share with the group and with me and then we can, that'd be terrific.
Yeah,
Yvonne.
I'm
Thank
happy
you.
to do any of that.
Okay, terrific. Great. That's excellent. Thank you. The other nexus is I think with the ag committee. And because we're gonna be, there's logging trucks and some, there's a report coming in, and I think that, I mean, John, how do you feel? You know about this as a background. Would you be willing to be our person?
Yeah.
I don't, or if there's something else that you prefer to do, I just think there's gonna be, there's a report that's come in that we haven't heard the testimony on. It's one of the reports coming in. I could also ask Phil to do it too, if you'd rather not.
Well, yeah.
Would you prefer that?
I'm interested in environment and.
Okay, okay, so maybe we could have you part of the environment, that the E and E group. Okay, go ahead.
Just to raise a question, I'm wondering about the, again, with the energy. and
We're unreliable.
They also have jurisdiction over the desert.
Hold on a second. I can't hear when other people are talking. I'm sorry. Sorry.
It's really noisy out here too. It's hard to hear.
Yeah, sometimes we go and yell at the people in the hallway. Okay.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, yes.
So Molly, I'm having a hard time. I just need to keep the group focused because I'm gonna try to let you out early for lunch so you can jump on the line. So you were asking a good question, Kate.
Yes, so the designation program, which is part of the Act 250 stuff, is being redone, right?
Yeah.
And I would really love to be able to, be our eyes and ears on what's going on with that, if that would be of interest, because I think that has a bearing on a lot of, the downtown.
I would love for you to do that.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
so,
right.
and that's gonna be in that committee. So.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure though, just to be clear, right? Because we all have our jurisdictions in our committee. It's helpful to follow the work, but that is not gonna, our work is in this committee. Just because I want to make sure that it's important in the legislature that we coordinate, but that we also stay in our lanes. Because, we don't have the depth, this committee has the depth on transportation budgets and policy. So I just want to but this is a way for us to say forward. So we know that there's a nexus there. So Kate, that would be great. And so Phil, are you willing to do the ag and and we'll have you on public transit. And so we'll have 4 people on, I would say, environment and energy. So if I could ask that John and Molly and Matt and Scott kind of get together to have a little meeting of the minds just about how you want to divide up that work. Does that seem fair? Because there might be, there's a lot there. And I'll look to, let me know what's going on in that committee. You might need to pop out to listen or to watch on YouTube. Either way, that committee, that particular committee room is quite tight. Okay, so you might not be able to go in person, but you could join by Zoom, and actually be in the room, and you could leave this committee room and go to the lounge and listen in. That's one. I know that room is very packed all the time, and so it could be difficult to meet in person. But we'll see. I mean, play it. Use your best judgment.
Somebody would watch judiciary just.
Yes. Oh, yes. Actually, we do. Yes, Matt.
Sure.
Okay.
Want to trade, Matt?
Do you want to check, Matt? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. So we need someone to watch judiciary because we have a couple of bills going on. Oh, and we need someone else on commerce. So, okay, because
Happy to do commerce.
I think you have enough.
Okay.
Okay, and I think, I want to spread the work around.
Sound like the teachers.
No. I appreciate, I love it when people. Yeah.
Who's the last person picked?
Yeah. And Patty, I don't want to leave you out, but you have a pretty big job, so. To. with Commerce, John, can I ask you to also follow commerce, which is gonna be the towing stuff?
Reconsider the. I'll do what you need me to do.
Just say yes, John. Please.
We,
I'll do what you need me to do.
okay, so we could, I know you're interested in the environmental stuff, and there's there's a towing bill that everyone might, our favorite bill, that got transferred into the Commerce Committee. And there's a report that was due in December that has been, they asked for an extension, and it should be in January 30th. All of us should read that report when it comes in, but if you don't mind being our eyes and ears down there, that would be, it's like finding out when they're gonna be taking it up, that would be helpful. I think that's the main focus, but just if you can also just kind of like look at those agendas and if there's another area, but I think that's gonna be the main focus there. And so judiciary, do you want to talk a little, for judiciary, there, we heard with the bill overviews, there's a bill that's been introduced in the Senate and in the House around the use of cameras for speeding in work zones. And it's a bill that touches on transportation as well as judiciary.
Well, one thing with judiciary too, we often find that all of a sudden we see one of their bills with Title 19 or Title 23 in it, and we went, whoa, where'd that come from? And that's, and we never hear about it until it's important. And that's happened before, co-ops to, they'll be out of their lane and do something, and I gotta watch co-ops.
I think Commerce had another issue. Didn't they have an issue with the Uber driver that came out of Burlington and had, you know, the 18 and 20?
Yeah,
So there was like a sunset on that.
Yeah. So that's the other, that would be the other thing to look out for, John, is anything that has to do with kind of like consumer, like, you know.
Sunsetted Uber.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sunsets and we keep extending.
Yeah, I forget the term that was.
Right, but I think it doesn't coincide with what the state
The state
does.
does, they're different.
They have their own special
Yeah.
thing, but it's supposed to sunset, and I don't know what the date is, if it's this year or not.
Thea sent me something about it. We can ask about a little bit of that too. But that would be the issue.
And who has judiciary?
I think Matt's gonna do it. I
Okay.
think we just
Okay.
the committee, like, I'm trying really hard not to have things on partisan lines so that we have a lot of diversity, but I hope that, you know, as committee members, that we can, bring in information and that it's, not partisan, as much, but we know the political realities of working in this building. But I just want to be able to, like, this is a way for us to follow some of the other things going on. So if I have a recap, I'll start. So John, you're going to be part of the environment and energy group as well as commerce. Bill, you're going to do healthcare, piggyback on the Medicaid healthcare with regard to public transit and the agriculture committee specifically around waste. Molly, you're going to do the environment part of environment and energy. Kate, you're going to track you're going to be part of the healthcare, also the Medicaid and the
Walkable communities designation.
all of the downtown designation work that's going to be happening. Tim, we talked about, what you're doing, what you know what you're doing. Leonora, the graded service model, human services, liaison with human services. So it might not only be graded services, it might be older Vermonters, public transit. And so
Medicaid and Medicare is tied to that, or
no,
just Medicaid?
you are not, human services actually does not deal with Medicaid. Healthcare committee deals with Medicaid. The Human Services Committee deals with the services that are often funded by Medicaid, but
This
also.
is
the
my
services-
confusion as a Canadian, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Medicare for me is health.
So there will
Sorry.
be some overlap. There'll be some overlap, but that's kind of what I'm asking.
Great.
And Scott, you're gonna be on the energy side of environment and energy, right? Matt, judiciary, Patty, you are doing rules and all that, yeah, okay.
Not doing anything.
Great. So thank you for doing that. And, you know, at the beginning of, just so, I would say this is a kind of a practice that someone suggested to me. On Monday night, like you can look and see, on Monday, you can see what the agendas are for the week. You know, just as from your experience in this committee, that they often get updated throughout the week. Often Wednesdays is a big day, like, you know, sometimes where it gets updated for the remainder of the week. Just, that would be, I would say, a good rhythm to have. And the idea is that I'll also find out from the other chairs who they might have on their committees tracking this or suggest that they do, and I'll let you all know who those people are.
So we should wait to give us a name before we contact them or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. So Molly, you.
Yeah, I'm just looking through like the agenda for yesterday, and the Environment and Energy Committee is talking about 586, an act relating to flood protection, climate resilience, infrastructure and financing. I mean, there's so many, like,
There's a
really,
lot.
really related, and then municipal planning resilience grant program. They were
Right.
talking about it, so it just direct.
It'll be really important
Yeah.
with it'll be really important for us to connect
Yeah.
with that. So great. Any other questions or clarifications? I hope. Good. Well, thank you all. Thank you for doing that. And so then I thought we, wanted just to give some time to follow up on some of the bills that have come into our committee. And we have time on Friday to hear, from some presenters of the bills. And I wanted to kind of have a discussion. I know I've heard from a couple of you that you want to hear, give the Representative Smith some time to talk about the distracted driving, so we'll get him in here. We depending, and usually what that is like, it's 10 minutes, to give them, to give folks time to, and hopefully they don't need the whole time, to just, I'll give them 10 to 15, I'll give them 15, but maybe ask them to speak for 10 minutes and then have a couple minutes for us to ask questions. But if we're looking at the document that Anthea went through with us, so there are things that I can certainly do, but I'm interested in hearing the feedback from the committee.
Actually, I have one from last year.
Oh, yeah.
And that's but I don't know, it's online.
Sure.
Representative Peterson's, and it deals with the veterans license plate, and I don't know if this is a DMV. If it should be a Senate thing or ours, and it's,
Oh, good.
Yeah.
excuse me.
I thank you for raising that. I know that would normally be a DMV. Bill, and this is good to surface these things, because we're in the second year of the biennium.
Yes.
And so for the newer members, right, this is like, if there are some bills that members want to have passed and that they would maybe be incorporated into the DM miscellaneous motor vehicle bill, it doesn't hurt for people to have a companion bill or to talk to the Senate when it is in relationship to the motor vehicle bill. I happen to know last year when that bill came up, there were some real questions that the commissioner had about that bill. And part of it, and I would want to also hear from the Committee on Veterans and Military Affairs, because I am not as well versed as they are about the different levels of honors, and I think there were some questions about whether this would dilute the other. That might not be the right word, but I think there's some sensitivity that I don't know the full background on. And
my understanding is they've added a section in the US code, and we did not add that section. I mean, and it is not in our state section, so.
So we could have Representative Peterson to come in.
And I spoke to the Commissioner Manali and Mike Smith as well.
Art came in.
Yeah.
I think,
And I told him it might be a GovOps issue because it's a, while it's a DMV, it deals with the military.
yeah, I think it is
Oh,
both of those things.
Correct. So I told him, I don't know if GovOps is the home for this bill or not. So
It is
He's
here.
aware of that.
It-
The bill is that, one problem with the bill is it's a one-off. It's an absolute one-off, and I don't wanna say that's not important, but one-offs are tough for me.
And I don't know if it could be incorporated in the DMV bill, miscellaneous DMV bill, because really, but I don't know if it is a GovOps issue, military affair.
I think with things like that, the way I would approach that, if it were, there are a few different ways to approach it, but when we add things in that are kind of issues that need a lot of testimony, and we add it into the miscellaneous motor vehicle bill, we're under a time crunch.
Right.
And so we've seen in the past when that happens, if they don't have time in the Senate to take new testimony on it, it can get pulled from the bill, and so this is what I would say about anything, not just a specific bill, but if it's where we are in the biennium, that it'd be good if he had some conversations over there. And I think I was asking Butch to help, like that to get the people who might have questions about it. And I'll talk to the chair of House GovOps about it to see if they could weigh in, yeah. But thank you for the flagging that one.
Yes, and also I did hear that we're going to hear from Representative Smith. That's,
Yeah.
yes, 5 minutes. Okay, thank
We
you.
will, no, he is on my list, so.
Done my job.
Okay. So, I was thinking. Other thoughts? Go ahead. Well,
First of all, back in November, I made a list of, here are things I hope we work on, and, we ticked them all, H693 hits a lot of them. But one on transportation safety, public safety and all that, we have the one bill about potentially testing automated speed control, we call that. As part of our review of that, I assume we'll get some testimony, and I think last year we got an update from public safety, but I'd like to get that again, and I'd like to really look at statistics and where the state's going, and, that's one response, but that's a piece that I think it also goes to, just safety, pedestrian, biking, all that. They're all interrelated.
Yeah, so that's great. And that's great to hear your interest in that. And I think for the committee six, Butch and I were involved with the development of the bill that's in the House, along with the chair of the Judiciary Committee. The hope is we're coordinating with the Senate that I think some work is starting on that. They've started to take testimony on a similar version, but it's the topic. So what we'll likely do is that if that comes over, that bill comes over, we'll get to work on it after we do our work on the T-bill is my thinking.
Sure.
So it's good to have these open conversations about our timing.
So the bill that Bikes and Computers bill is, it's a result of something that happened 3 or 4 years ago, where the agency wanted to run radar construction zone district. I think there was some concern about public information, public records, storage, all those things.
Yes.
I think this bill H562 addresses lines, and we'll have to see if there's have to see what happens when we get it over here.
Okay.
I really love this happen, especially as a pilot.
Yes.
See what could have been asking about.
So no, Matt, I can't hear Butch. He's a soft talker, but we have a printer going too. So sorry, Go
So
ahead.
anyway, we'll see what they do when we get over there, and we'll make it right.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a report that came into our committee last year on this work zone safety that you might want to look at. if that's of interest, and we'll take the testimony from all those, and that it's this bill, in relation to this bill, but we'll hear about highway safety.
Yes.
And,
Bill numbers.
The,
562.
562.
562.
And you might, depending on what happens in the Senate, it might be that it comes over to us in S 184, and then we will look at some of those things. There are a couple of, it's interesting, I was noticed like a lot of interest in public transit, so we can have some of those folks come in, but I think we're gonna be doing some work in that. Other, go ahead.
Is my sense that, because I apologize for
Okay.
this morning, so I'm sure you got a drive-by of these from Anthea.
Yeah, we just did a really quick,
So is your sense that we're gonna have a drive-by by the sponsor of the bill on
I
Friday?
think it's an introduction, it's not a drive, we will not get a
5 minute.
5 minute,
Bye-bye, 5 minute drive.
I think,
Of all these bills.
I don't think all of them not all of them right now. Like, I think with the way that I think what would make sense is with a few exceptions that we mostly kind of hear from bills that might have a relationship to the T-bill.
Okay.
And then we'll do something similar after crossover that might have a relationship to the miscellaneous motor vehicle bill.
Okay.
Does that sound like a sensible approach? And I can, I've heard from a lot of the bill sponsors, and I'll let them know that that's our intention. If people ask you, you could say, you could share that with them. Yeah, just say you could share that with, the chair is gonna be, bills that are related to the miscellaneous motor vehicle bill we'll hear from. But maybe recommend that they talk to their colleagues in the Senate, that, if there's is there a related bill in the Senate that it might be able to move, that is always helpful.
First, I think,
Yeah, go ahead, Butch.
okay, I think, moving on to another bill, so.
Well, I was too.
You go.
I was just gonna ask about the first bill on the list about Bridge 9. Is that gonna get incorporated in something else, or is that, anything gonna happen with that?
I think we'll hear from Representative Anthony. I think we should hear from him, but I think, as you heard from Anthea, that's like asking for a project to be added to the white books. And I think we could come in, we could see what the town's doing.
Mhm.
As you can see, as I think this committee knows, there's a prioritization process that goes on.
Yeah.
And, if we didn't have that prioritization process, we would have exactly like 180 members minus 11 of us, or actually maybe
Yeah.
really going in and asking to leapfrog the process. So I think I think considering though, what happened in Barry, that I think I would like to have him come in.
I did stop by and look at the bridge and got the other pictures, and there isn't a butler right in the middle of the river, and it's a bad thing.
So,
But it would be good to ask again about the prioritization process, and has it changed based on the recent flooding,
Yes.
Yeah.
so we'll hear, with some of these, we'll be hearing the agency will let us know where they are. They have they also have a response, but
Thank you. So on page 623 from Representative Carpenter,
mhm,
maybe we should wait on that to see what happens after we see the transportation bill.
Yeah.
And see where that's going. And a lot of this, and here from Ross McDonald, there's a lot of
Yeah.
what she's asking for in that bill we're already doing. Would agree. See,
And this funding study will be interesting.
pardon me.
The funding study will be interesting in that
Yeah.
context.
Yeah, so we may be already there.
Yep.
In that bill.
and we usually don't single out one service provider in a bill. Like we don't, which is what.
We're always doing five pilots statewide, so. We should be getting some answers.
Yeah,
We should be
yeah,
getting
so-
some answers on that program.
Yeah.
So,
Great. So why don't we
Let's
Why don't we
throw,
just go
let's,
through it?
let's throw H 542 out.
which one is that? Oh, it's actually, I am not listening. That's Kate Nugent.
And
that's a different.
No, not different.
Yeah.
He was trying
Where's
to,
your?
trying to stir the pot.
Yeah,
Wait.
just stirring the pot a little bit. Right, oh, wait a minute, we could do that with H 685.
You mean 93? Thank you. Yeah, okay, here we go. Okay, let's say 85. So I think, well, let me just back up a little bit too. I think both 685 and elements of 685 and 542
Yeah.
are in 693 a little bit. So, but I think, and so Kate, I think we could, I think we can give members of the committee some airtime, to talk about this. So I think we will do, I'm gonna see how much time we have and where the check marks are. Is that all right?
But I was curious, as Representative Morgan had a bill in here that kind of, looks like it kind of mirrors a lot of yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine tackles a couple of other issues, but, and then his adds the deference for the of passing to additional, like sanitation services and maintenance and things like that, which is, seems worth considering. So a lot of these were recommendations that came from local motion.
Yeah. So no, we're not gonna go into the bills right now, but that's when you when you come in and be like, you're here. I know it's funny to say when you come in, but when you sit in that, seat or
Yes,
whatever
right,
you want to do.
Well, what I'm trying to figure out is if I can go to Representative Morgan and say, we have a bill that's really similar and wraps everything into that you want into your bill.
I think so, with the exception of expanding the 4-foot deference for those other uses, which would be the distinction. But otherwise, yeah, it's like, looks like we were reading a lot of the same things this summer.
So I'm just kind of going down at the school bus. The school bus stuff is, I think, in the second half of the session. So we're gonna wait on that if we, right, that is H 732 is when I say the school bus stuff that we're talking about. And the same thing maybe with H 7, well. 749.
749, I'm on the bill. States publicly that it's a non-starter. It could be a potential $400,000 hit for the P fund, or to the DMV budget. That's a big bill. And I'm on the bill because it's volunteer firefighter. But
What bill?
it's 749, which is free registration for volunteer firefighters.
How much are placing? I think it could.
About, if you had, say, 4,000 members of VSFA, it could be as much as, $400,000. And as much as I want to do this, I don't want to have to see any fees go up to cover the cost of doing this. So I'm going to have to say no to this one.
Phil,
Yeah, we won't get into the details of it. I'll ask you a question about it.
okay. And maybe we would add,
I
so
feel like his other bill is.
H 752, you were just talking about Michael Morgan, maybe we just have him come in when Kate's doing, maybe we have them come in together, like I'll kind of coordinate that, you do them together, get it, so. Driver's ed, that would be the second half of the session, I'd like to wait, I think we kind of need to hear about that in relationship to driver's ed. I feel like the committee could use some info on driver's ed. I think returning members know a lot about driver's ed, but I think it'd be good to hear a little bit more about that. It's a question that a lot of our constituents ask us about too.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of questions about driver's ed from like the people that serve asylum seeking populations, and I don't know that it's specifically related, but it's also people that are outside of the high school driver's ed typical route to getting the license, so.
Yeah, no, it's,
Yes, I
think
love that.
I think it would be interesting, I mean, down our area, you can't get into a driver's ed
Right,
class and there are no driver's ed teachers. So I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah.
actually something that probably impacts a lot of us, but we could
Exactly.
hear a little bit more about that in the second half of the session. So
Thank you.
we'll hear from Brian, and the speed, okay, Seth Chase Representative Chase has a few, bills. I was thinking we could have him come in to talk to all three of them, just they are kind of related.
Yeah, we're waiting for a report.
Yeah.
Vehicle.
And
That's not.
That's no.
I know, but I
next
think it'd
year.
be good to, we can use the time as an opportunity to share that with them and, so. All right, I think we made it through. Is everybody,
We didn't hear what we were gonna do with Representative Chase's.
I think we'll have him come in, and just do all three of them together, like kind of compress it, and, because some of the things we are, I think it's important for our colleagues to feel that they have been heard, that we're actually, considering their bill, and it's also an opportunity to share information that they might not be aware that, for example, that we're having a report come back on motor vehicle noise. I mean, so I think it's a way to have some good communication with their members. So I think I'll work with Jeannie to kind of figure out what we could fit. This would happen on, I think, on Friday. So Friday, please note, we're starting at 9 a.m. We usually don't start until after the floor.
Molly, do we have a?
8 to 9.
I'm sorry, and this is a little bit outside of my control. This is, the e-board, the emergency board meets. The governor had to move it from Wednesday to Thursday. They're doing that on Thursday, and we're gonna do this we're gonna have a joint meeting using the technology with the Senate Transportation Committee to hear from Tom Cavett. So that's happening. It's only for half an hour, so it's 9 to 9:30 on Friday. So I'll try to remind you again on Thursday, but I just wanted to say, so on Friday, we'll do that in the morning, the floor, and then we'll hear as many of we'll send invitations out to members. And that'll be updated on our agenda once Jeannie does the outreach and gets confirmation. So how does that all sound? Good? And the next week, just a public service that we're gonna get the budget bill, and on Wednesdays and Thursdays, we're gonna start a little bit earlier at 8:30 on Wednesdays and Thursdays. While we're working on the T-bill, because it feels like we don't have enough hours in the week if we don't do that. So I thank you in advance. All right, well, with that, I think we'll wrap up. And then if you're getting lunch.
We have Jane, right? Who's coming in here?
I love,
Yeah.
yeah, take a 10-minute break and that would have been terrible if I'd done that.
Yeah.
So 10-minute break, and then please be on time so that you can leave at noon time. Okay, so just take a little break. Clayton Clark is coming at 11:45.
Is anybody having trouble getting on the